I want to welcome you to Cedar Point Town Hall. Our mayor wants to extend his apologies for not being here to hear the wonderful answers that are anticipated this evening. But he wants to make sure you all know he wishes you best of luck and hope you enjoy the forum this evening. If you would, join with me now. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There is some literature on the back tables. Just want to make sure everybody's aware. Anything that you see back there is not promoted by the town of Cedar Point, but you're welcome to any of the handouts that you see on either of the tables there. At this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Erin Knight. She is the president of the Carteret County Chamber of Commerce to go ahead and get us started.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody for being here. We really appreciate the partnership and the opportunity to give you an opportunity to hear from your candidates before voting day. Like you said, I'm Erin Knight. I'm the president for the Carteret County Chamber of Commerce. We work closely in partnership with League of Women Voters, both nonpartisan, non-profit organizations like the Chamber, partners, and communities. So we really appreciate those opportunities. Tonight, the candidate forum is being recorded. Taylor McCune here with the Chamber got hooked up to the camera and everything. So tomorrow, it will be available. You guys can go on YouTube and do a search for Carteret County Chamber. And so you can share it with your friends and your family and tell anybody else that missed being here tonight to log on and hear from their candidates speaking. But without further ado, I want to introduce Carol Gear. She is the president for the League of Women Voters, our partnership organization. She is going to speak to you and let you guys know what to expect tonight and how this is going to operate and roll. So thank you for your partnership. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Erin. And thanks again to the Chamber for partnering with us. We've been doing this for 5 years. We love these. Just a reminder, tonight's forum is a forum, not a debate. So each candidate will be given 2 minutes for their introductions, opening statements, and then after that, we'll open it up for questions. We have received several questions online, and then received some from those of you in here. Thank you. If anybody does have additional questions, raise your hand, and one of our league members in the back, Andrea back there, will bring a card, index card, and you can write out your question and just raise your hand when that's done, and we'll just take that up. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Ralph Hall, our timer tonight. He'll briefly review the candidates.
I'm going to stand here because that way I really want to address you all, but first I want to thank you all for being participants in democracy. That's what we all love to see happening. These people have stepped across the line into taking an active role, and we're very anxious to hear all the things they're about to say this evening. My job is the technical job, which is to try to not only respect the time of our candidates as well as yourselves, but make sure that everybody has the same opportunity, by way of at least the time, to say what they intend to say, but at the same time, we only have so much available. So my job is to keep the timer, and that says that as you're counting down, I'm going to be letting you know that you've got this much or that much time left. So for your 2-minute opening and closing statements, when you have 1 minute left, you'll see a little green paddle, 60 seconds. When you get down to 30 seconds left, yellow paddle saying time to start gathering your thoughts and sort of make your final statement about that topic. And then when you get to the red, means you have used all your time. The important part of that is we're all here to hear what they've got to say. So please complete your thought. Take a few seconds. You don't have to stop exactly at that moment. After about 5 to 10 seconds, I'll start growling at you and get a little more aggressive. But everybody in all of our forums has been particularly observant of not only the rules, but the consideration of everybody. And we're really looking forward to everything you have to say tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ralph. And also just a reminder, early voting begins October 16th, it's Thursday, till Saturday, November 1st. Polls open 8 to 1, 8 to 6 p.m. So each day, I thought it was 8 to 6, am I wrong?
In the past, it's been 7:30, has that
It-
changed
it-
this year?
Yeah, I think it changed. And you're right. It's changed. It's 8 to 6 now, and then Saturday, November 1st, it's 8 to 3. There's 3 locations. Western Park's probably the closest. You can actually go vote at any location, but just remember on election day, if you wait on election day, you go to your precinct, November 4th. Don't go to the early voting site because they will not be open. Go to your precinct. Also, vote41.org is the league's nonpartisan one-stop voting and election website. We've got bookmarks back there. But if you want to look up where your precinct is, you can look it up there. And then also you can look up the candidates. They'll be featured up there as well, their profiles.
There'll also be links
And links to the candidate. So, thank you again for coming out. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Perry Harper. Perry Harper is the Vice President of Corporate and Community Education at Carteret Community College, where he's worked there for 34 years. He also has been on our county board of education for 8 years and was chair of that for 3 years. He was named a member of the NC IDEA Foundation's North Carolina Black Entrepreneurship Statewide Council in 2020. He's also chair of Carteret County Public School Foundation and commissioner in the Beaufort Housing Authority. So, welcome. Perry.
Thank you. Welcome. Hello, everyone. I'd like to begin by introducing our candidates. I want you to remember that there are 8 candidates that will be running for 3 seats. They're on the ballot. You will vote for 3 candidates. As a reminder, I will introduce the candidates in alphabetical order. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening remarks. Please include your top 3 issues you would like to address if when elected. Are you ready? Okay. I think so. David's not here, so David Autry could not be here tonight. So we will start with Pam Castellano. Excuse me.
Well, good evening, everyone. I have been a town commissioner for about 10 years, and I would like to continue serving as a Cedar Point Town Commissioner and see some important projects that I've been a major part of through to completion. I love our Cedar Point community. It is vibrant, it is peaceful, it's friendly, safe. I want to keep it that way. I want to continue with this strong record that I bring. I have a proven record of leadership, and I have a background as a Marine Corps officer and as a military spouse. I'm a scout leader in our community, and I look for ways to serve the community, and I do believe that serving as a commissioner is a great way to engage in community service. I want to keep doing that for you. I carefully consider all of our decisions, especially with regard to taxpayer dollars. I understand that I am not spending my money, that I'm spending your money, and it's also my money in that way, and so I'm careful with it. I don't want to waste it. I'm very aware of our development in the town and push for thoughtful development. I think it's really important that we keep the small town charm as best we can, but we also need to bring needed services to our town, and it's great when we can help to support that. Residents regularly share concerns with me about traffic. Traffic is a problem, we know this, and I will continue to work on pushing NCDOT to increase the traffic support that we have and help us with it. And the other thing I would like to see is our town be interconnected to the Croatan National Forest and Cape Carteret through multi-use trails, and to add a bathroom to Boathouse Creek, and I'm pushing for all of those things. So I think I'm one of the best candidates to continue serving, and I would be very honored to have your vote.
Thank you. Philip Davis is not here tonight, so David Edwards isn't here tonight. Carl Hackbar.
So I don't think I'll take 2 minutes of your time, but I'll tell you, I love this town. We've lived here since 2018, not a long time. We do travel the world quite a bit, and we see a lot of the world, and it's great to come back home to Cedar Point. I think the best thing about Cedar Point has already been mentioned. It's that small town sort of charm. It's the fact that driving down the road, you can wave at somebody, and generally they'll wave back. I appreciate the 35-mile-per-hour speed limit, and I think that that's a good thing. I just think that what the town council has done during the time that I've been here, and obviously before we got here, has been terrific. And so I would look to maintain the same sort of tenor and the same sort of effort that's gone before I got here. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya Melton.
Thank you. I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight and just taking your time to meet with us and get to know us a little bit. I think it's important that you know us and you know who we are. For me, I have found that one of the issues in our town is communication. Not all of us are on social media. Not all of us are checking the town website. Not all of us are, checking our email all the time. And I think it's so important, if there's something in our town that is going to affect our residents need to know. And they need to know, they need to know quickly. And having said that, as a commissioner, being Johnny on the spot with that, and when I say that, I mean know your residents, know your communities, know your subdivisions, and get out there and let people know that something's happening, and this is what you need to be aware of. Also, being in a service industry my entire life, letting people know who you are, letting people know that you're approachable, and you hear them, you want to hear them, and you're available. That is so important. I'm not going to get all of mine, I'm so sorry. Traffic, absolutely. Not be the squeaky wheel. We've got to be able to be a conduit with local DOT so that they hear us and regularly hear us, so that we can get something changed, maybe change the sequences here of these lights. Thank you.
Thank you.
I talked too much.
Okay. Don Redfern.
Yes, my name's Don Redfern. My family owns land here in Cedar Point. We've been here since 1943. I've worked for the town of Cedar Point Public Works for 16 years, and I know every shade tree in this town because I worked outside quite often. You've heard the rest of us talk about need for the services for the town. That's very important. A hospital, I'd like to see a drugstore maybe, things of that nature. Police presence in the traffic. That seems to be a topic on everybody's mind because we have to get out on Cedar Point Boulevard at some point in the day, and it is quite dangerous sometimes. We talked about more access to Cape Carteret walking trails. I'd like to see one that goes over to Croatan National Forest. That's been talked about before. It hasn't come to fruition yet. I'd also like to see more water access for our citizens. We're surrounded on three sides by water, and yet not a lot of us can get to it. We do have the park, which is waterfront. I'd like to see something else. Finally, more activities for our children. We have Western Park, which has a fine area for the children to play, but there seems to be, maybe we can get something at the park, maybe we can find something somewhere else. more activities for our children to keep them, close. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Jerry Riggs could not be here tonight. He's traveling out of the country, but he did leave a statement that I'd like to read. My name is Jerry Riggs, and I'm very excited to be running to continue my role as a Town of Cedar Point Commissioner to make a difference in helping and supporting with developing our community for future development needs for our residents and our coastal community. Serving our community has been a tremendous privilege, and I am proud of the progress we have made together over the past years. Working with my fellow commissioners, we have been able to achieve significant goals for our town with supporting, helping set the town's vision, establish policies and procedures, adopting ordinances, resolutions, and annual budgets. My 6.5 years on the Town of Cedar Point Planning Board and 1 year as a Town of Cedar Point Commissioner have given me a valuable understanding of our community's growth. My experience on the Planning Board in navigating through the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, has prepared me to analyze complex development proposals and ask the tough questions to ensure any growth aligns with our town's long-term vision laid out in our comprehensive plan. I was directly involved in the development and approval of our current Unified Development Ordinance, as well as our recently updated comprehensive plan. I know that these documents must be thoughtfully applied to manage growth, preserve community character, and ensure sustainable development. My commitment to this town is as strong as ever. I am confident that by continuing to support our staff, work constructively with our current board, we can build upon our past achievements and create an even brighter future for the town of Cedar Point. Thank you for your consideration and support. I ask for your vote to continue serving as your Town of Cedar Point Commissioner and working to make our shared goals a reality. Submitted by Jerry Riggs. Okay, so we'll start our questions, and we're going to start with Carl. This question's for all four of you. Back in 2023, a survey was conducted in preparation for an update to the town's comprehensive plan. Of the 126 respondents to the question, what do you value most about Cedar Point? 46 chose its small town atmosphere as their first response. 84 chose it as their top third reason, or top three reasons. As a result, maintaining a small town feels to be the town's stated goal in that plan. The question is, what does maintaining a small town feel for Cedar Point look like to you, and how do we maintain it?
Well, it looks to me like something that Don mentioned, which is access to the water that's all around us. In other words, protecting that access and allowing people access to be able to go to the water when they want. And the point is, we don't want to grow to the extent that people are having to cross, trespass in order to get where they would like to go. And so I think that's pretty important. I think the other thing is we don't need high rises. We don't need to bring Walmarts in here. But I do believe that some medical support, and I think that walking paths, again, a lot of the things have already been mentioned, would go a long ways to maintaining that. Thanks.
Tom, we'll go to you next.
Yes, I think we all love the small town feel of Cedar Point. I mean, that's one of the things that we all cherish the most about living here, and encouraging our family businesses is so important. Encouraging, supporting them, keeping out chain entities, which we've done so far. Water access, like Don said, is so important. having another boat ramp here in Cedar Point somewhere would be wonderful. And having places where we can have, children activities, walking trails. There's so many things that we can do to unite our community and keep it small, make it feel small. Thank you.
Don?
Maintain small town feel. One of the things we have to realize is, again, Cedar Point is surrounded on 3 sides by water, 1 side by the road. So there's only so much Cedar Point can grow. We talked about keeping out the large businesses and maintaining small business, family businesses. Again, with the small town atmosphere, we talk about the water access for the citizens and what more can we do for our children. Make it safe for them to ride their bikes down the street in the neighborhood, ride their bikes down the sidewalk on 24.
We changed those.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm looking at it.
Actually, that's,
So Cedar Point is already very amazing. It is, as Don said, it's surrounded, so it isn't gonna physically grow. We know that. But it's also about the people that are here and having the people that are here be friendly to each other. Well, how do we do that? By having community activities and events that we can do together. So, everybody's talking about walking trails, but what I'm talking about is multi-use paths that people can use for all kinds of different modes of transportation except cars. None of that. But I want to see people be able to walk in different areas of the town, ride bikes in different areas of the town, meet up with each other and connect, go for walks, talk, go have coffee. I would love it if we had a coffee shop. That would be great. I think we're getting one,
We are.
or just about to, so that's awesome. But things like that will just give us opportunities to spend time here in our awesome little town.
Thank you. Okay, our second question. With the construction of a 24-hour healthcare center recently being approved in Cedar Point, what is your plan to ensure the neighboring communities are having their questions and concerns addressed? And we're going to start with Don.
I have been through prostate cancer, and I had to go to Moorhead multiple times a month. Having something like this right across the street, I think would help out tremendously. Cedar Point is not a young town. Cedar Point, we all have some age. And if you look out, there's a few youngsters out here, but for the most part, we're retired military. I retired from public service. My brother's retired from AT&T. And this is where we decided to spend the rest of our life. And so having that medical service here, to me, is a tremendous thing. I don't have to go 20 miles to Moorhead City to get a checkup.
Thank you. Pamela?
So I know that several residents are concerned about the hospital coming in here. And I would say that some of the concerns, the town itself can't do a lot about because they're done at the state level, they're done at the county level, and there's things that we can't address ourselves. And for those things, I would be happy to help you connect, if that's a concern, with the people that are doing those approvals and things like that, so you can talk to them. And make sure that they are doing what needs to be done and that the hospital will meet all of the state and county rules, regulations, requirements for safety, for everything involved in that process. And I myself live in Crystal Shores and am not looking forward to hearing sirens at night, so I will be definitely paying attention to that.
Thank you. Tanya, we need you here.
Yes, agree. I think that we do need a medical center. However, I think that going back to the first question, or my opening statement, communication. Communication, communication, communication. Our residents need to know what's going on in their community. And they need to know, there needs to be a better way of informing people of what's going on so that they can be heard. That, to me, is so important. If we have, neighborhood where we have a lot of elderly, I don't care if I have to go door knock. People need to know what's going on in the neighborhoods. Understanding the procedures and how things work is very important to people, and that to me is very important.
Thank you. Carl?
So I'm not familiar with what the concerns were. It sounds like one might be sirens.
No.
What were there
Yeah,
others?
Septic systems, and the size of it, and right next to a community, things like that.
Okay. So we live right down the road. I live over in Marsh Harbor. Great community, lots of kids, lots of bikes, lots of kids crashing on bikes. It's a wonderful place to live. I love it. I also love the fact that there's going to be a hospital nearby so that when the kids do crash on their bikes, they've got somewhere to get to quickly to get fixed. Having said that, we also live very close to the fire station, and those sirens, to be honest, we don't really hear them that much. So I think that the trade-off is probably good. Thank you.
Okay, our next question, we're gonna start with Tanya. The town will make its final payment on Boathouse Creek Park on February 1st, 2026, becoming debt-free. Is there anything you believe the town needs that would justify us going to the debt again to obtain it?
That's a good one. Well, water access, we've talked about it a lot. I think we need water access for our citizens. I think we talk about that a lot. We need more access to the water for people here in Cedar Point. That's tough, and everybody needs to be able to utilize this beautiful town that we live in. So that, to me, would be important.
Thank you. Pamela?
Okay, so I don't know what the demand in the town is for additional police support. Right now, we have an amazing deputy that supports us all, but he's human. He can only work 40 hours a week, and we love him for that. But I don't know if the town would like more police support. And if they do, and the town supports that, then it might be worth it to go into debt to build some sort of facility that we could have a small police department. But that wouldn't be something I would want to take on and just make that decision for the town. It was kind of like with the park. We didn't make that decision for everyone. We put that out as a referendum and found out that over 77% of the people that voted wanted that park, and we had a huge turnout for voters. So that's how we make good decisions. We engage the public and ask what they need.
As I understand it, the loan, we had to raise the tax rate in Cedar Point.
A little bit. 3 cents.
Once that gets paid off, I'd like to see the tax rate lowered. Then we can decide, take a breath, we can decide, hey, let's go after something else. But one of the charms about Cedar Point is we have no municipal sewer, we have no water system, we have no electric system. None of the utilities are controlled by the town, so we don't have that expense. And so our tax rate is quite a bit lower than, let's say, Swansboro or Emerald Isle. And I'd like to see that continue. I mean, I think that's a drawing force for families to come to Cedar Point.
I think that adding something that Pam mentioned, adding a bathroom or something out there at Boathouse Park would be a really good idea. I don't know if that's already in the works, so it's already paid for.
Not completely, but it's
Okay,
close.
but I think that that would be good. I think also improving the trails and trail access out there would be a very good thing, especially the ones that go down closer to the water. I don't know how many of you all have walked out there, but it gets pretty marshy, and so if there were a way to build those up a little bit, that would be nice as well, because it is a great place. We used to walk the pups out there all the time. In fact, that's where I met Don. He knew the pups when they were pups. Yes, so that's what I got.
Thank you. Pamela, we're gonna start with you on the next question. How are you involved in the community currently, and is there anything you have been considering getting involved in?
So I believe that I'm fairly involved in the community currently. As you know, I'm a commissioner. That takes up some time and gives me a great sense of satisfaction in serving the community, but also I'm a scoutmaster for a girls scout troop. It's through Scouting America, and I have had the most awesome experience with our girls in this community, and the surrounding communities as well. I have girls from the surrounding communities. They are learning some amazing things, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Now, what I would consider doing is maybe when I retire from full-time employment, I think that I want to get very much more involved in supporting the VFW and the VFW auxiliary.
Thank you. Carl?
So I'm not nearly as involved in the community as I probably should be. My community involvement really extends to being a member of the HOA at Marsh Harbor, and I've been a member of that since 2019. Beyond that, attending a few meetings here, that's the extent of my community involvement. Unfortunately, Pat and I figure while we're still young enough, we travel a lot, both in this country and overseas. But I think that taking this position, if I'm able to get it, would be a good way to become a little more involved in the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy?
This is the 4th year I've sat on the planning board for Cedar Fest, and it has grown every year. It's great, love it, looking forward to it in a couple weeks. But my heart, my volunteer work that I do, I volunteer at hospice home in Newport. I work in direct care. I work directly with patients and their families. I work there in the home and also volunteer in patients' homes with their families, providing just respite for caregivers, whatever they may need. That is just something that's very dear to me personally. I finished up the North Carolina certification for the end-of-life doula, and I planned on getting certified for that. It's just something that's dear and near to me, so if I'm not home, a lot of times you'll find me at the hospice home, so that's what I do.
Thank you.
I currently sit on the Board of Adjustments. That was after I retired. Before I retired, staff and myself started Toys for Tots collection, Easter egg hunt, the Festival of Lights. I sat on that board. In fact, I had that board for about 3 years. Cedar Fest, we helped get that going. The park, he talked about the trail down near the marsh, the yellow trail. We helped put that together. We helped put all the trails together. I am retired. I love my woodworking shop, so I do a lot of sawdust making. I have 2 active grandchildren, so it keeps me busy.
Thank you. Carl, we're gonna start with the next question for you. What do you think will be the biggest issue the town will face in the next 4 years, and how do you think we should prepare to address it?
That's a tough question. I think it's the unanticipated things that we kind of need to think about. And so what might the next Hurricane Florence look like? And where do we need to begin looking to make sure that when that does happen, because something like that will happen sometime in the future, where can we reach out quickly to get this financial and the infrastructure support that we'll need to recover from that kind of an event? So that's probably what would be foremost in my mind. Thanks.
Traffic. The whole time I was at Cedar Point, every 5 years they do traffic count. I started at 15,000 cars a day. Now it's up to 30+ thousand cars a day. The next 4 years, who knows where it's going to be. To me, that's tremendous. And again, the storms. We live on the coast. We're gonna get one, and we need to be able to help our citizens out any way we can.
Thank you. Tanya?
Definitely traffic, obviously. Trying to figure out how to be proactive, thinking down the road. I think there's 32,000 people that come through here. It's a lot of people. This is a small town. Obviously, natural disasters, making sure that we have in our comprehensive plan the very best ways of acting fast to help our citizens, figuring out ways to help our youth here, keeping them busy, finding things here in the community for them to do, activities, activities here for them to do, to get them involved with the community. Those are things that I would love to see happen here.
So, of course, traffic, but why? Because of increasing population. So we're going to have to look at ways to manage that as best we can. Right now, Cedar Point is getting built out. There's not a lot of room to build new places because we're just running short of space. How do we fix that? I'm not sure, but thoughtful development is going to be key, and we need to be a very active board in asking all those good questions. And Jerry likes to say, asking the good questions to make sure that we're building the right things in the right places, fixing eyesore properties and helping to get those cleaned up so that we can have better spaces around. And no matter what we do, traffic is going to change. It's going to get worse before it gets better probably. And at some point, our roads won't be able to handle it unless we have made changes. And DOT is very aware of that, but it's not easy to get funding. So we have to be advocates for that.
Thank you. Our next question, Tom, we're gonna start with you. If you were elected, what one thing, new service, town improvement, regulation, would you be most proud to see achieved?
Will you repeat that, please?
Yes, if you were elected, what one thing, new service, town improvement, regulation, would you be most proud to see achieved?
I would love to see the town of Cedar Point. It's just me. I would love to see our property owners on 24, business owners, take more pride in their buildings, their parking lots. It's nice to come through and everybody, the exterior of our buildings look nice and their parking lots are nice and everything's clean. I just think that would be a great thing. I mean, that's me, but it's my opinion.
Thank you. Don?
We've hit on several points about keeping the youth busy. I think that's something that I would like to see more of. Activities for the youth,
construct a bathroom at, the park, Boathouse Creek Park, because it will make it ultimately infinitely more usable for everybody, and it'll be fully accessible. And I think that would be great, because if you're out there for any amount of time, what are you gonna do? So I think that's, yeah, I think that's critical, to make it a more enjoyable place. And, you know, the water access that Don has talked about is very important. That I think this town needs more of it. I am a complete advocate for that, and hope that we can find ways to do it.
I think everything that would come to my mind has been covered. I do think that continued work on the park, because it is a beautiful park, and it's something that we've got that we can enjoy. So if there were some boardwalks, again, back there in those less improved walks, the yellow trail, that would be super. I do want to mention, though, that one thing that I like about, or an additional thing that I like about our community, is that the streets do stay incredibly clean, which is actually awesome, because we drive through a lot of places in this country and other countries, and seeing filth and whatnot along the roadside is really unpleasant, and we don't have to deal with that here. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to start with you on the next question. Water access is a large reason many people call Cedar Point home. Do you have enough water access opportunity? Do we have enough water access opportunities for our town residents? And if not, where could we improve?
Okay, so we have, our water access that's public is largely at the park, where you can take a kayak out and that kind of thing. And then the boat ramp. Everybody knows about the boat ramp. We can get our boat in the water there. But there's not enough parking, so it limits what people can do. There are a couple of streets in Cedar Point that end at the water that I think could be turned into options and opportunities for people to enjoy the water. And I would like to see that happen. And then I think we would be doing better with that. We have, most of the neighborhoods have neighborhood docks, so you can get down and you know, walk out and enjoy the views and things like that. But that doesn't really help you get your kayak in the water, or help you get access to the water yourself. So I would like to see a lot of that kind of stuff happening.
Thank you. Carl?
You're making my job easy up here. So agree with everything that she said. And I think another issue that we might want to look at is increasing the no-wake zone, kind of going down, what is it, just past the Swansboro bridges and coming back toward the Emerald Isle bridges. I think that creating a no-wake zone through that area would go a long ways to helping people getting their boats in and out of the water.
Thank you. Tanya?
You know, there are some neighborhoods here in Cedar Point that could have water access, but do not have water access. And I'm not quite sure as to the reason that they don't. It may be something to look into as to see the reasoning for that. I'm sure cost, HOAs would have to pay for those types of things, but it may be something that the town may be able to look into helping out with those types of things. Because, you know, if the neighborhoods on the water had access, that would be great for families and kids, everybody to be able to use the water that they have. That would be something to look into. And just like Pam said, I know along where we live, the roads end at the water. There should be a way to open those up to be able to access those areas, to be able to use those.
Thank you.
Like everybody's saying, there's quite a few streets that dead end right at the water. The issue is the parking. So if her neighborhood had water access, then that neighborhood could use that and not have to go somewhere else and not, take up parking spaces. How this is gonna happen, it's gonna take a board effort. It's gonna take state funding. It's gonna take, it might take a tax increase to get these things done. But that's how it's gonna happen. We're gonna have to get together as a board make a decision and go after it.
Thank you. Tanya, let's start with you.
Could I mention one thing, this might be out of order, but something to balance against the water access, and you bring up the neighborhoods and the HOAs. We've actually denied water access to a few houses just because we don't want to have that view obstructed by a bunch of docks, so it has to be a balanced approach.
Thank you. Tanya, what is your stance on a town-operated police force in Cedar Point?
Well, at this point, up until recently, I don't even lock my doors. I think that as of right now, we don't need that. Now, there have been some concerns with this ER coming, that there have been some concerns that it's gonna cause some security issues. So we don't know what's coming down the line. But as of today, I do not feel that we need that. I do not feel that taxpayer money needs to go towards something like that.
Thank you. Carl?
I think if we can afford it, and if we can swing it, and if the voters are willing to, if it requires a tax increase, if the voters are willing to pay for it, I don't think it's a bad idea. And I don't believe that we're talking about, you know, having a 50-person police force out here in uniform running up and down the streets. But having somebody available when you need them and you pick up the phone and call, I think that that would be a great benefit. And I think one person is spread pretty thin. Thanks.
I mentioned it earlier, but to me, this is a 100% voter-driven issue. If the voters desire that and let us know that and make it clear that that is something they want to do, then it would require a tax increase. And so I wouldn't be willing to just go make that decision without voter input. There are other options, though, that we could do without actually putting a full police department in here. We could increase our coverage with the county by paying for additional police support that way to supplement our already awesome deputy. Did I mention that?
Twice now.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
Thank you.
Well, they've all made good points. If you want a police department, it's gonna cost you money. And that's the bottom line. And that's up to you guys to tell this board that's what you want.
Thank you. Calvin, we'll start with you. What is your vision of Cedar Point in 4 to 5 years?
So, gosh, things take a long time to get done sometimes, and that has been probably one of the more frustrating things, but I would like to see us at least have the start and the plans for that interconnected paths and walkways. I would like to see that there's a plan for our traffic issues in place. It might not be complete in 4 to 5 years. In fact, I'll guarantee it won't be, because it takes so long for that stuff to happen. But I'd like to see that that is making progress. I would definitely like to see that bathroom be complete in the park, and more, if we can do it, at least one more town festival a year, because I think those are really great, and everyone loves Cedar Fest, and it's fun. Maybe we could find another opportunity to do something like that for a different event.
Thank you.
What she brought, she said some valid points. We're gonna have to deal with traffic. There's gonna have to be a plan in place or a avenue to a plan in place to help out with that. Again, water access for the citizens, I think that's something we can look into. State funding, private funding, however we need to do it and get it done. Commercial properties that are on Highway 24, you know, let's help them out. One thing Swansburg has is a historic district. People go to Swansburg to go to the historic district. Cedar Point does not have that. We have to create something to bring people to Cedar Point.
Yes, the bathroom at the park, that's something that we've been working on. Cedar Fest, that is something that every year, you know, that's what we're talking about, raising that money from Cedar Fest to go towards building that bathroom. We're almost there. So, within this time frame, that bathroom's gonna be built, hopefully. That, of course, traffic, and as this medical facility is built, we're gonna have to obviously figure this traffic out. It's gonna take a long time, but we've gotta figure it out for the residents that live right here, especially. And, I would love to see, within this time frame, something in Cedar Point that we can figure out, whether it is, I don't know, a festival, I'm not quite sure it's that, something where we can bring our youth and our senior citizens together, something that we can do to bring our community together as one.
Please finish.
Something to bring our community together. You know, there's an age gap, but really, there's not. There's even though there's an age gap, there doesn't have to be such a gap. No, there doesn't have to be a separation. We need to get our youth and our seniors together somehow. They can learn a lot from each other.
Thank you. Carl?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. What is your vision of Cedar Point in 4 to 5 years?
So I had never thought about traffic that much, to be honest with you. I just get on the road and go, and I've driven in Washington DC and in Los Angeles and some other places that make this look kind of nice. But the thing with the traffic is we're gonna have to get some really smart people to think about it, because Swansboro is only going to grow. Jacksonville is only going to grow. Cape Carteret and things on the other side of us there are only going to grow. And that's where our traffic comes from, really, is that flow back and forth. A bypass is not the answer, because we need the traffic to service our businesses. And so that is something smarter people than me need to think about. And so we might be able to get some folks in from the state. I'm sure that we've already done studies, but maybe more studies. I don't know. The other thing that I would like to see is, I think the town purchased that building over by the fire department. Did we? So I would like to see that developed, and I'm curious as to what direction that's being moved in terms of development. But a community center there, I think, would be terrific. I think that would be a great way to draw people together as well.
Don, we're gonna start with you, the next question. For 7 years, 34 North Bar has been an ongoing and escalating noise issue for the residents of 100 Lighthouse Lane. What is your plan to remedy this?
Wow. That's not something that one person can take care of. It's gonna take a board decision. Amplified music is amplified music. And it can, I live 400, 500 yards away from it, and I still hear it. So, you know, you're talking about the condos over here. What about me? You know, I'm hearing, I'm having to hear it too. And not only 34 North, you got the Cedar Point Beach down here, Saturday and Sunday nights, Friday nights. You know, they're just blasting music. And some Saturdays is good music, some Saturdays is not. But it's got, it can't, you can't look at me and say, hey, what am I gonna do? It's gotta be a board decision on what happens.
So actually, I think that, I mean, I live over there in Marsh Harbor, and I think that there's some nights when the bass is really going that I hear it all the way over at our house. But I've got sensitive ears too, to some extent. I think curfews is probably a good idea, and enforcing those. But I think other than that, people want to have a nightlife, and people want to enjoy themselves. And so maybe that's the price that some of us have to pay in exchange for people to come down and enjoy themselves.
Thank you. Tanya?
Thank you for coming. Yeah, so that's been an issue, and, you know, Megan's Bay Villas are right there, and you've got the residents there at Megan's Bay where their house is literally back right up to that. I can't imagine what their house sounds like at midnight. I feel for them. I wouldn't want that. And like Don said, it's not a what would you do, because it would take everybody on the board trying to figure the stuff out. Noise ordinance, changing the noise ordinance maybe. That's a possibility. That's a tough one.
Thank you.
So right now, our noise ordinance is really pretty restrictive in the number of days a year that you can get permits to have amplified music and things like that. And I think that it's very easy. Our fine structure is also really small. So basically, it just gets in the operating costs. Like, oh, you're gonna fine me? Okay, what is tomorrow's? I'll just pay that down. So because of that, I think what we need to do as a board, again, they're all right about it taking a board, is we need to look at changing our noise ordinance or our amplified music ordinance to allow, or to specify the times, allow more days per year, but less length of time during the evening. And then, also to increase the fine structure so that it becomes actually something that's prohibitive if they continue to do it. Because I agree, it would not be a lot of fun to have to deal with that on a consistent basis. And we hear it as well. My daughter complains constantly about it being in her bedroom.
Thank you. Carl, next question. Would you be supportive of an ordinance limiting night pollution? Why or why not?
Limiting what pollution?
I think night.
Light? Light?
Night?
Night.
Night?
Day, night, night.
Light
Or should it
pollution
be
at
light?
night?
Light pollution.
I'm sorry.
Light
It
pollution,
should be like the light.
light pollution at night.
So I guess it's
I-
both.
okay.
Light and night.
So I have to confess, I've never experienced anything negative with respect to light pollution, but again, that might be due to where we live. We don't have a lot of lights along our streets, and so that doesn't seem to be an issue. So I'll ask the assembled folks here, is it an issue in your communities?
Well, Moorhead and Beaufort have instituted, trying to put in the darker lights because of how it affects the wildlife in our area. All the birds that come through here, Cape Lookout now is a designated light area for their stars. There's been a lot of people pushing. You can get lights that shine down and not shine up, and they're safer than they are. There's a whole lot that goes into the night lights and trying to keep them
So-
from impacting wildlife. I'm sorry.
So, no, thank you for that.
I think it's a hard question, and that's
Yeah.
No, thank you for that clarification. So that probably is something that we might want to educate ourselves on. Maybe the board is already looking at that. I don't know, but that is something to look at, because one thing that surprised me is that we don't have more birds in the area where we're at, because we live on a marsh. It should be just chock full of birds, and it's not. And if this light is something that might be causing them to fly past us, maybe that's something that we look at and consider. Thanks.
Pam, do you know if that has been something that they have talked about on the board?
Typically, I think we address it in the building plans.
Mhm.
When we see the commercial site plan come through, we look at where the lights are and how many there are and that kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't know that we have I'm not sure if we have a
Okay.
specific ordinance to what kind of lights we have to have, but our lights are pretty dim, so we probably have something.
I was gonna address that from a different perspective, and I was gonna address that in a way, when we're talking about, listening to the planning board, talking about the medical facility and how it was gonna affect the residential area. Because we need to be very, very, very mindful of our residents and making sure that, they're not trying to sleep at night and these lights are shining in their bedrooms. It's being respectful to your neighbor. But as far as pollution, you know, I'm understanding now about the wildlife, that is something different. I had not thought about it in that way. So that would be something that we'd have to do some research on. I understand that as well, and then I think about it as with me not being able to see very well, how that would affect me driving at night also.
Thank you.
So I agree that we need to not have too many bright lights in the area. I love to see the stars. It's sometimes hard to do that. And that's because we have quite a bit of light, shining around. And then it definitely affects the wildlife in the area. Not sure if it sends it away or draws it to us, but either way, I don't oppose having, regulations to make sure we're using the right kind of lights. And ones that provide the safety that we're looking for in having those lights, because we do need the street lights and things like that for safety. We don't want the place to be completely dark. But, in neighborhoods and closer or further out, I think we need to have, less lights. So you need to have them aimed right and angled right and all that good stuff.
She makes a good point. We do need some light out there. I don't know if y'all have ever walked down the sidewalk next to Highway 24 with no lights. That would be a scary thing. But Carteret Craven surely can come up with something like the lady said, shines the light more down than it does out. That would be something we look into. Also, the number of lights and where they're placed and what the voltage is on each of the lights is done through our unified UDO. So, you know, we do need some light out there, but there can be some ways to restrict the flow out more down.
Thank you. Pamela, we're gonna start with you. Next question. Thinking about the recent flybridge development in Swansburg, how do you feel about something similar here in Cedar Point? Part two is, are you pro or con of these types of large multifamily developments?
So the answer is pretty easy for Cedar Point. We don't have that kind of land. So it's not really gonna be an issue. But I think the issue you're actually getting at is multifamily housing, and large developments of multifamily housing. Well, we don't have a lot of space for that, so, thankfully, it's just not in the works. But we do have people who want to put in multifamily housing. So I believe that we should, ensure that our zoning works for Cedar Point. And it also has to work for the people that live here, because all of our homes can't be at the highest end of the spectrum. We need places for everyone to live. So I'm in the middle of the road on that. I think we need some multifamily housing, but it needs to be thoughtful development and not just throwing as many people into a small space as possible.
Thank you. Carl?
I think, one, the space is an issue, but affordable housing is critical, and it is important for people to be able to have a home that they can call their own. I mean, that's kind of the American dream, and that's kind of what we're all about. So, an approach, and again, I haven't done this myself for a living, or even on a volunteer basis, but there have to be programs at the state level whereby subsidies can be applied to properties so that maybe single-family homes can be occupied affordably by folks. So that's probably what I would look into, because I do think affordable housing is extremely important. Thanks.
Thank you.
Affordable housing is important. However, we talk about our small town culture, and I think we all love our town the way that it is. We talk about the traffic. If we bring in multifamily developments, we're taking away from the small town feel. We're adding to the traffic problem. I for one would be against that.
Thank you. Don?
As all y'all know, we are halfway between two 2 miles from the back gate. And 99.9% of the people who bought those houses were active military. And it's just gonna expand because the bases are not gonna go anywhere. So these young families are looking for a place to stay so that they can get to work. We don't have the land for a big area like that.
Thank you. We began with the introductions by going in alphabetical order. We're going to transition to your closing statement, which you'll have 2 minutes. And we're going to start with Tom.
I signed up to run for commissioner because there was a void. Nobody signed up for the vacant spot. And I thought, doggone it, it's my civic duty to attempt to become commissioner. Everybody out there has a civic duty to do what we're looking to do. Go vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, me, Tanya, Carl, Pam. Go vote. Make your voice known, because if you don't vote, you got nothing to write about.
Thank you. Tanya?
If I remember correctly, I think the percentage in Cedar Point, and I could be wrong, was like 17% of people vote.
17%.
Was that right?
Well, in Carteret County, the average was like 15 to 16% voter turnout in municipals, because a large number of people live outside of city limits, so that's part of it, but it drops off considerably from like 82% in a general election. So,
Well, unlike Don, same, you know, when it came down to it, it was, I felt the same way. I'm like, okay, I love where I live, and I have a servant's heart, and I want to take care of my people, and I just felt like I have to do this. Our new businesses, when they open up, they need to see our faces and know how much we appreciate them being here and serving us. And, you know, if we're gonna represent our town, they need to know who we are, and that we're here, and we're listening, and we want them to know us. I wanna know them. I wanna know you guys. I want you to know that if you need help, we're available. Whether it's a business or a resident, that's what small town culture is about. That's what it's about. It's about looking out after each other. That's why I signed up. So, go vote.
Thank you. Carl?
So I found myself in the same boat as Don. I got a call from a friend of mine that said, "Hey, Carl, you need to look at this position because it's going to go unfilled unless somebody throws their name in the hat." And so I jumped in. And I'll be honest with you, I ordinarily would be much more prepared to come in and engage you all than what I am now. But I would appreciate the vote if you see your way to doing that. And if not, next year I'll step up to the plate much more prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. No.
So I will say that I really have enjoyed the opportunity to serve as your commissioner and would very much like to keep doing it. To Don's point about voting, there's about 1,700 voters in Cedar Point, and the last time that I ran for election, I was given this seat with 100 votes, about. That's kind of sad, right? So, tell your friends, get out there and vote. I think that my philosophy is to be a servant leader. That means that I'm going to be out there serving in any way that I can. And I think that my combination of background and experience and the things that I have learned and want to see come to fruition will serve you well. And again, I would be honored to have your vote.
Thank you. I would like
2 votes. So your vote counts. Every single vote